the Ethereum community and the way it's organized than it is through and it is intentional work as well. So the work that you've done at ETH Berlin is just like, ETH Berlin's like the best hackathon by a long way. Sorry. You might catch up. But no, it's wonderful. But it's got this kind of values-based foundation to it. You can guarantee that any hackers who went to that and have experienced it over the last 3 iterations of it will have become more Ethereum because of it, and taken that with them wherever they've sort of redistributed back out into the world. So it's media and our communication. I think we get a little bit hung up on marketing, just because it feels like it'll pump the bags or something. But it's more about there's something deeper than that that's way more valuable than any amount of messaging or PR or marketing that I think is one of the essence of Ethereum.
I have something that I thought about. It's a little bit of a wild thought. Mm-hmm. I've been thinking about this because it gets to the bottom and it gets also to talk about the cultural range of Ethereum. So when you think of an expressive coding language, you think of a coding language that's able to do many things at once with little characters. Solidity is a deeply expressive language in 2 ways. First of all, it's almost people readable. I don't want to say human. It's almost people readable, but the range of the things that it allows you to do, it's actually incredible. Like I said, it's very versatile, and I think that having Ethereum underpinned by Solidity, it allows for the range of expression that you see on every single layer. Well, theory, but I think it works.
That's like socio-technical systems imply that the technology changes the culture in very sort of meaningful ways. And something like readability of code and accessibility of the language would absolutely have a significant impact on the kind of range of people that are going to engage with it and understand it and get it peripherally. Someone who can write secure smart contracts is different to someone who can read them, and I think that's a much sort of wider base.
One small example, in Istanbul for DevConnect, there were Farsi coders, the people who were brought to Istanbul who never built anything on chain, and they were sort of sponsored by a few wonderful folks who really care about Iranian alternative coding culture, and they blended into the Ethereum crypto devs vibe and really exchange lots of knowledge and potential, and still the work with them continues. It's all in Farsi. There are also wonderful people, Ethereum emojis who are helping them, and it's wonderful to see also localized, smallish communities who contribute to the bigger scene. And you can clearly see the diversity spawns from so many continents and communities. But I would get back with the Tim Bako statement on the free states of Ethereum. How would you describe Ethereum through that lenses? Why you came up collectively, I guess, that those are free pillars. That's how we structure communication on what is Ethereum. Network, asset, and the media.
Yeah, and I think the social layer, the economic layer, and the physical layer. It's I guess, or in this case, the cyber equivalent of that. It's a very natural way to talk about the different parts of the social system, right? And you can think about a company the same way you can think about a DAO, the same way you can think about a country in the same way. And if you remove any one of them, then you don't quite have the same thing, right? Some I would even argue that the network might even be at least over the long term the easiest one to replace, right? If you think about the kinds of transitions we've done already, we've gone from proof of work to proof of stake, and Ethereum is still Ethereum, right? And if we in another few years replace the EVM with RISC-V, then at some point it's Ethereum with ECS, and then eventually with post-quantum we have to get rid of ECDSA and we have to get rid of EOAs, and then it's RLP is stupid, we have to get rid of RLP as well, right? And then like what even is the line of code that's like anything that was in there from the beginning? I don't know, it'll probably still have like the XOR opcode, right? So it'll be okay, let's all rally around the XOR opcode, that's the essence of Ethereum. Like the other two layers, like in some ways are like the even more persistent ones over a long enough duration, right? So it's, but I think I mean, even code, like it'll actually become like more and more persistent over time, right? Like we have like even things like ENS that have existed for close to a decade. And I think Aave is like what, about half a decade old now, right? That's it'll get to the decade mark in half a decade, right? So yeah, like to me, it's a combination of all of these things.
I think it's actually a good metaphor for developers to think of Ethereum, what can you recite